Welcome to the Power of Your Voice podcast with your host, Johnny Gorky. You have the power to overcome challenges and fears. Let my voice and the voice of many others show you how to transform these challenges into opportunities. To learn more about future podcasts and read episode show notes, check out my website at www.thepowerofyourvoice.com.
This is episode 8, and today's guest is Lindsey Fitzgibbons. She is a depth hypnosis practitioner and healer working in San Francisco. She provides a variety of therapies to help her clients heal traumas, work through current and past relationship issues, and recognize and address patterns that are no longer serving them to step more fully into their personal power. So hello, everybody. I have Lindsey. I have the amazing opportunity to talk to Lindsey here today. And Lindsey, in the past, she had panic attacks. So if you could please tell us how, the reason why you had these panic attacks and how you're able to overcome this.
Yeah. I would love to share. So first of all, thanks for having me. It's so much fun to be
welcome.
here. Let's see. So I, was like any person and would have anxiety from time to time, but in the time leading up to my, my wedding, I started getting really intense anxiety and had a weekend that I can remember where it was like, I was just having full-blown panic attacks, and that had never happened to me before. So it was and I was about to get married, and I was like, oh my God, this is like the worst possible time. But in retrospect, and what I came to understand after diving into a really deep self-inquiry around what was happening was that, and I think I also had some awareness of this at the time, was that I didn't really know myself. And I think because I was getting married and because I was making this lifelong commitment to somebody that I loved, there was a part of me that was like, oh my God, but I don't even know who I am right now. And I think that my body was sending me very clear signals that this is something that I really wanted to take care of. So I remember, at the time, it's so crazy to think back, but I was freaking out and people around me were freaking out. And at some point I went to see a therapist who prescribed some anti-anxiety medication. And I don't even think I ever even took it, but I filled the prescription. We got married, we had a great time at the wedding, and then we went on this amazing honeymoon. And there was one day that I was having a hard time, and I remember picking up the bottle and looking at it and thinking, this is just not how I want to live my life. Like, I don't want to, I want to be with this man that I love and not have to take anything. And I don't think there's anything wrong with medication, for sure. But it just spoke to me so deeply in that moment of like, I really want to get to the root of this and understand what's happening. So I was lucky enough, because I really think because I was holding that very clear intention to get to the root of it, it led me to this amazing therapist who I found when I was doing a yoga teacher training. And she's a psychologist, but she also uses this modality called Depth Hypnosis, DEPTH, hypnosis. And it's a very deep, it's a therapy that really gets to the root cause of whatever's going on in your life. So I have a very curious mind. It's almost like doing an incredibly active meditation. And we were doing these in session, we were doing these really deep meditations to get to the heart of what was going on for me. And what I realized was I really I wasn't using my gifts, and I wasn't really living my purpose. Yeah. And it's, of course, it's like easy to put that in one sentence and say it. But of course, this unfolded over the course of a couple of years, because I got married and I started having kids. And so, there were a lot of things going on in my life, but over time, it really became clear that I really wanted to use my gifts and be in service of others. And so it turned out that the modality that healed me, after a couple of maybe even like a year of doing these types of sessions, I I stopped having panic attacks pretty quickly after that. But then, after maybe like a year or two of doing this kind of therapy, I've never had a panic attack again. I mean, of course I experience anxiety from time to time, but I've developed so many tools to really get at the root of whatever it is. I just know that anxiety now is a signal that I need to turn and look at what's happening in my life and look for the teaching of it. Yeah. So it turns out that the thing that healed me is what I now do for people. I became a depth hypnosis practitioner.
That's amazing.
I know, it was really cool. And it's cool how like all of these different skills that I got from what looks like on paper slightly disconnected jobs all kind of coalesced and came together to support me as I started my training and becoming a depth hypnosis practitioner. So yeah, it's really cool.
Well, the amazing thing is like there's some people who want to get married, but they don't get married because they think it's too stressful, and they live with somebody, but they don't get married. And it's amazing how you were able to overcome this. Now, exactly, how do you support other people in healing these anxieties that they have?
Yeah, well, so I work with healers and different spiritual entrepreneurs who really want to live a soul-aligned and abundant life. And through this modality of depth hypnosis, I help them to quickly access a really deep soul-level healing. And though talk therapy, I think, can be really, really beneficial, I've talked to a lot of people who've had the experience of just feeling like they're talking about what they're dealing with and not really getting at the root of it. So this modality really helps to get down deep into the root of where really we began to separate from ourselves in some way, right? It's like we would have an experience of, I don't know. So for example, like when I was a kid, it's funny, they must have done some type of exercise in school about discrimination, and I have blonde hair and blue eyes, and the example in school was about discrimination and like how people who look a certain way are going to be discriminated against. And I think they used the blonde hair, blue eyed to like discriminate against them. So there was a period of time when I felt very confused about looking the way that I looked. And so there was a way that created a separation from myself. And so by using some of the techniques that I have, there's a way to kind of go back to early childhood in a very compassionate and gentle way and do some really deep healing there of like, there was a misunderstanding that developed when I was that age. And so I've been able to go back since and bring some, a deeper understanding about what was going on and how I can, I chose in that moment to reject myself in some way, but I could have chosen to just stay connected to myself. So that's a little bit about how it works. It works at like this very root level place, but it's like great for physical ailments. I mean, a lot of times we can have, like I've got this, certain parts of my body will hurt if there's like some type of stress in my life. And, that's just a great message. And so this depth hypnosis, you can focus on the physical level that will take you into the deeper spiritual level of what's happening in your life, if that makes sense.
Wow, I love that, because that's the problem that we have in this country, especially in the United States, is, wow, I got a headache, let me take this pill. Oh, my back is killing me. Instead of doing physical therapy, let me put something on it. But it's just a Band-Aid. So what you're doing, you're actually digging in deep and you're actually healing the person from within instead of just medicating the person. This actually works and it fixes the problem instead of just putting the Band-Aid. It's like I was saying just a minute ago.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very deep and lasting way of healing. And it's actually pretty quick. I mean, which is nice. I think in this day and age, certainly, it's nice to be able to take a pill and feel better in the short term. But this type of work it works pretty quickly. I mean, we did a research study on it, and after 8 sessions, so this is like 8 hours, if you invest 8 hours of your life, people showed a decrease in symptoms of depression by like 50%, and, decreased anxiety by 40%, and then feelings of well-being were much higher as well. So not
Wow.
only does it kind of take care of whatever you're dealing with on a really deep level, you also, of course, feel better and feel more grounded and more integrated, like more like yourself than you ever have, which is good,
And the
right?
best
Like
thing
if
is,
we want to feel like ourselves,
yeah, and there's no side effects either.
just feeling good and like empowered and knowing who you are. Yeah.
Wow.
No bad side effects.
So what advice or resources can you share to support people that have anxiety issues, whatever it could be? It could be in school. It could be you're about to get married. Maybe there's this job that you're trying to get, but you're not sure if you're going to get in. It just causes a lot of stress.
I would say, so I think we all have a very strong intuitive sense of what feels good for us. And when we let go of judgment around that, I'm guilty of that as well, of sort of feeling like, just like really trusting that the things that will support you and will feel good for you, those are the things that I would turn to when you're feeling anxiety. So if it's a massage, like however you can invest in yourself to take care of yourself when you're going through periods of anxiety or even depression, I would highly recommend. So if you like to get massages, like really find a way to invest in taking, massages. A lot of people have found, I think yoga is a really great way for people who have that more anxious energy because it's a physical practice. So you can start to move the energy that's feeling kind of dispersed and bouncing around in your body. So you get to use all that energy you have, but then focus it into a practice. And then oftentimes people can feel like they're actually able to settle and meditate after that. Or any type of physical activity like running, biking, whatever it is, just getting your body moving so that you can move that energy. Another great modality is tapping. Do you know what tapping is?
I've heard of it, but can you, for someone who hasn't heard of tapping, what exactly is it?
Yeah, so it's called the emotional freedom technique. And actually, this is the first thing, the first therapist that I saw when I was having panic attacks, she taught me this. So you can even find videos on YouTube. It's called the emotional freedom technique, or EFT. And you do this series of tapping, like you start on your head. You can see me, Johnny, but there's the whole, like you start on your head and you tap different points on your face and your hands. And it's a somatic therapy. So it just brings your awareness to like these spots on your body that are, I think it's connected to the meridian system. So they're energy centers in your body, and they can just start to really calm the nerves and calm the nervous system. And it's nice because if you do the tapping with a practitioner that's trained in this, or if you want to try it on the YouTube videos, you start to work with whatever thought, like if you're thinking about something, you start focusing on that, and that it starts to sort of take the emotional reactivity away from it. And then there's just, when you're out in public and it comes out, if that anxiety comes up, you can just start tapping one part of your body, and it will like bring you back into that physical state of relaxation that you had when you were practicing, by yourself. So it's kind of a nice little thing to have in your back pocket. So, you can't like start tapping your face if you're like having a conversation with somebody and getting really anxious, but you can sort of, slyly tap your hand and just like, anything that can bring you back into your body. Anxiety tends to disperse our energy and make us want to get away from ourselves. So anything that can just gently bring you back into your body and let your body or your psyche know that it's safe to be there. Sitting in nature can do it too.
Wow. It's amazing how there's so many great natural ways to heal your body without having to pop a pill.
There are many, many. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's incredible. Sitting in nature. I was just watching something about attention hyperactivity, ADHD. And somebody said that spending time in nature is as probably a certain amount of time in nature every day is as effective as taking Ritalin or some type of, I really want to look up the studies because I keep quoting this, but there is something that like really resonates. It's like, if we just spent more time in nature, there's something just really healing a bit about spending time out in the sun or the the forest or by the beach or in the snow for many people right now, but just being out in nature and grounding yourself. Yeah, I mean, the healing power of the earth is incredible.
Wow, that's really cool. So is there any other things that you've been able to overcome besides just anxiety?
That was really, that for me was sort of the tip of the iceberg. It was like once I started in on this journey of getting to know myself better, the great thing is you get to know yourself, and then the deeper you go, there are like lots of layers of things to uncover and to heal. So I feel like there are a lot of things over time, but this issue of self-worth is something that I have been working with for a long time, and I feel like I've been hearing a lot about recently, of a lot of people, amazing people out in the world still feel like they're not worthy of what they have or what they can do in the world. I actually even see it in my kids and the kids around them, of like so much self-doubt and issues of not being good enough. And I almost think it's like an epidemic at this point. So I think that's going to be something that I get to work on for the rest of my life. And I feel like I've made a lot of really great strides just uncovering. I mean, I think the first thing is really getting to know yourself and what you're good at, right? So sometimes we call them our gifts, but really understanding also what you want to do with your gifts in the world. Like, how can you make a difference in the world? And once those things start to become clear for you, I think often the path will emerge. The path will be lit in front of you so that you'll have a better sense of where you're moving in the world. I know a lot of self-worth, anxiety, depression, all of that comes up because we're not really sure about the next step. At least for me, when that all began to unfold and become clear about how I can, like, what I'm good at and what I love to do. I mean, I remember the first time one of my clients paid me, and I was like, I can't believe I'm getting paid for this. Like, I can't even call it work because I love it so much, and I would do it for free. But, I also get to be paid, because I get to take care of myself in this world.
Oh, yeah.
I was like in my late 30s before I loved work. Work was like not a really fun word for me for a really long time. But once that all started to shift is when things really opened up.
Well, the thing that's amazing is how, someone like yourself, you could have gone through like anxiety. For a lot of people going through anxiety, oh my gosh, this is just horrible. But you were able to shift it in a way where you actually turn it to something you absolutely love. So had you have never had this anxiety, you would have never probably found your true passion, which is what you're doing now, healing people. I mean, how amazing is that?
It is. Yeah, no, it is amazing. And I think that's true for a lot of people. I think the thing that, I'm a trained yoga teacher, but it was like, I love yoga, but it was never hard for me to get on my mat and to do the yoga practice. And so I feel like I was a pretty good teacher, but it was like there's almost like something about going through the struggle. Like I really did struggle with anxiety for a while. And because I had that experience, I have so much more to offer people because I went through that. And so I often think the things that we seem like our biggest challenges are really what our gifts are and what we get to really offer. I mean, it's like your story as well. It's like the power of your voice, the things that we had to really get to know and accept about our. Yeah. So I really believe that people, what they can offer. I mean, this is for people who are really trying to figure out what they want to do, how they want to get in touch with their gifts, and how they can make a really positive change in the world. For me, I found it on the other side of understanding my anxiety. And because I really struggled with anxiety for a period of time, and I got to really understand it, really find some powerful and deep and lasting tools to help me get through it. And because of that, I can hold space and be of service to anybody that has anxiety. And so that, I feel like, because I had the opportunity to go through that, I mean, I really think of it as a gift. Having the anxiety really was a gift and an opportunity. So now I get to offer that to people. Whereas I thought I wanted to teach yoga, but sort of, getting on a mat and doing yoga is so nourishing and amazing for me, but it was never a struggle. So it was almost like I didn't have as much to offer there. I was a good yoga teacher, but not great. I'm a much better yoga student. I'm happy doing that. But, I think going through some of these harder times has given me the opportunity and the capacity to sit with people who have been to places, are in their own suffering and in their own struggle, and really be with them there and support them from that place.
Wow. So it's amazing. I just had this thing that just came to me is you can have something you overcome and transform into an actual gift. I mean, how amazing is that? You're going through something like, why am I going through this? And then you're like, dang, this could literally become someone's career. This could be something that completely transform it and empower people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's true for so many people. I mean, I feel like that's your story as well in some ways. And I also think it is very powerful. And I think it's also important to know that you're on the other side of it, right? So it's like, if you're going to work with people in any way, just know that you've kind of gotten some, you're like solid and understanding. If I was in the midst of my anxiety and I was trying to be a therapist or, a depth hypnosis practitioner for people, it might have been helpful, but it can get a little bit messy. So kind of having that in my past and having a really strong foundation and understanding of who I am and what anxiety it is and how it works and what the antidotes are to it is important as well. So, but yeah, I think it's really true. I mean, Rumi has a quote, it's like the wound is where the light shines in. So it's like the places that we think are so broken are really the opportunities for us to receive love and guidance and wisdom with how we choose to approach it.
Wow. So like, what's something you would love for people to take away, or give me one or two things, anyone that's going through anxiety, what's something that you'd love for them to get away from this episode?
Oh God, I think the number one thing is that you don't have to manage your anxiety, that you can actually heal it. I think I didn't know that. And now having, sitting here now, 10 years ago, I didn't know that. I thought it might be something that I would have to deal with all the time, but you really can truly heal your anxiety and you don't just have to manage it. And if you are taking things to manage it, that is totally wonderful and appropriate and helpful to, help you get through the day, but also know that there are deeper ways of working that as you're managing it, you can go deeper and deeper and deeper and heal. I think that's it. That's like the main message. If I could let everybody in the world know that, that you can heal it. And I mean, I keep saying it, but you also get to know yourself. Like as you work through and get to the root of the anxiety, what you get to discover is yourself and who you are and how amazing and incredible and powerful you really are. So It really is a gift.
Now, so someone who's listening to this episode, like, I have anxiety. I love this girl. She's amazing. So you live in San Francisco. Now, how can someone get in touch with you? How can they use your services? Can they do this on the phone? Can they do it like Skype, or can they do a Zoom, or, can they live any parts in the world, or do they have to come and physically see you? How does this work?
So I work almost exclusively over the phone or over Zoom. Even, the Bay Area traffic has gotten so bad that even some of my local clients don't want to drive into the city. So, and the cool thing about working over Zoom is that I can record it. So each session, if we do a meditation, there's a lot that can unfold and happen. And having a recording of that to go back and listen can be really, really helpful. So right now I'm actually enrolling people in my Heal From Within program. So it's working on a really consistent basis for people who want to do this deep level of healing and who want to know themselves and really get clear about their gifts and their purpose.
Okay, so if someone wants to use your services, how do they get in contact with you? Do you have a website, all that kind of stuff?
I do have a website. It's called lindseyfitzgibbons.com. and I can send it to you so you can post it. But yeah, just get in touch. I offer everybody a free 30-minute call to see, to share more about what I do and see if it's a good fit for them. And yeah, I do a lot of things on Facebook as well. So you can find me on Facebook. Its business page is Lindsey Fitzgibbons Healing. Yeah, I post little meditations and little talks and things like that on Facebook as well. So.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Are you on Instagram or anything?
I'm not. I am personally, but I don't have like an Instagram business page yet.
All right.
Facebook was like the new frontier for me this year.
Well,
I'm a little late to the game.
Yes. Well, thank you so very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Any more advice you'd like to give to people?
That's good. I think, yeah, if anybody is interested in really getting to know themselves and changing their life and really manifesting the vision of what they want in their life, give me a call.
Sweet. Well, thank you so very much for being on the Power of Your Voice podcast.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun, Johnny. I love this podcast. I love it. You're really amazing, and I'm so glad you're doing this.
Thank you. Johnny here. Thank you for listening to the Power of Your Voice podcast. I'd love to get your feedback on this episode and how it impacted you. If someone in your life could benefit from this episode, share it with them. Check out thepowerofyourvoice.com to read show notes, leave a comment on the blog page, and to stay updated on all future episodes, subscribe to this podcast and leave a 5-star review. Thank you for your love and support.